Are you confused about which are the best sewing machines for the beginner? Well, the good news is that this video will help you in answering that question. The best sewing machines for beginners is the first topic in a beginner sewing course offered by Sewing-With-Desi. Hi, my name is Desiree of Sewing-With-Desi, where we offer tutorials for the beginner to develop and improve sewing skills with fun and easy do-it-yourself projects. Sewing is actually a great way to tap into your creativity, even if you had doubts that you had any creativity. In learning how to sew, whether as a hobby or starting a new business, it promises to be a fun sewing journey of discovery. We invite you on this journey by clicking on the red subscribe button so that you can receive notifications of newly uploaded videos. Topics covered in this video include identifying your sewing vision, sewing machine categories, features, manufacturers, product reviews, in addition to where to purchase sewing machines, a sewing machine selection tool, additional tips for consideration, and finally recommended best sewing machines for beginners. Identifying your sewing vision, or what your sewing plans are, is the first important step in determining the best sewing machines for beginners. Various sewing machine features will be explained and illustrated. The two major categories for the best sewing machines for beginners that I would like to cover are mechanical and computerized. First, let's start with mechanical sewing machines. Mechanical sewing machines require the turning of knobs and levers by hand to select desired stitching length, width, and tension. In addition, there are fewer stitching design choices. Let's take a look at a mechanical sewing machine. This is my Singer heavy duty machine, which is made of a metal frame. I've owned this machine for approximately 5 years. It has two knobs that are used to help in the stitch selection process. This is a reversible lever which is used to help reinforce the stitching at the beginning of a seam and at the ending of a seam. Located here is the presser foot that is used to help keep the fabric in place. What is not seen so easily is what's known as an automatic threader, as well as a buttonhole attachment, which is used to make buttonholes. Other features of the mechanical Singer machine include a tension knob, a needle position knob, as well as a width knob. In addition to that, there is the capability of being able to wind a bobbin, which will be demonstrated in a later video. Free arm is a feature of the sewing machine which allows you to be able to more easily maneuver cuffs and hems for sewing on the sewing machine. A sewing machine foot pedal is required for the operation of a mechanical sewing machine. It is very similar to the function of a pedal in a car. Another feature of the Singer heavy duty machine is that it does have a thread cutter. It's not automatic, but it does cut the thread. I want to clarify sewing terminology which can be the source of confusion among new beginners learning how to sew. The terminology includes number of stitches and the number of built-in stitch applications. The number of stitches basically refers to the number of various stitch designs that are available for sewing on that machine. The number of built-in stitch applications refers to the different ways that stitches can actually be used or the specific sewing technique. For example, a straight stitch can have several applications, including sewing fabric together, top stitch, and creating a basting stitch. A zigzag stitch can be used to help finish a seam. It can also be used to help apply an applique onto a piece of fabric. So just know that you could have a machine that has 30 stitches but have 100 different stitch applications. Let's move on to review features of the computerized sewing machine, which has enhanced and upgraded features due to computer technology, such as one-step stitch selection and expanded stitch design selections. Let's focus the attention now to that of the computerized sewing machine. This is a Janome computerized sewing machine which I purchased approximately 2 years ago. Features of the machine include the fact that there is an LCD display which reflects the stitch design selected, the width of the stitch, and the length of the stitch, all which can be adjusted. If you want to sew faster, you move this lever to the right. If you want to sew slower, then you move this lever to the left. A needle adjustment which allows you to either push the needle down into the fabric, you can press the lever down, and if you want it to be lifted out of the fabric, then you push this particular lever or the button upwards. This particular button allows you to be able to sew a button on a piece of fabric using the sewing machine to perform that function. This is a reversal stitch adjustment or reversible stitch adjustment which allows you to reinforce the beginning and the ending of a seam. Another feature is the start-stop option which allows you to be able to sew without having to use a foot pedal. What happens on most machines that have this option is that you have to unplug the pedal so that you can use this particular option because most of them will not allow you to be able to engage both of them. This is what is known as a general purpose foot, and it is adjusted by using this lever up and down, and it's used to help keep fabric in place when you're actually going through the sewing process. What is not clearly visible are two different levers that are used, which will be displayed in some subsequent videos when we're actually demonstrating them, and that is the automatic needle threader and the automatic buttonhole maker. And finally, the last three things is there is an automatic bobbin winder on top of the machine. There is also an extended table which is used to help handle larger fabrics, and then you can remove this table and provide what is called a free arm, which allows you to more easily sew things like cuffs and hems. And then what this has, which is very similar to the heavy-duty mechanical machine, is that it has a manual thread cutter. This machine does not have an automatic thread cutter. You add additional features, then you add additional costs. My Janome machine offers 99 various stitch selections. And while I really do enjoy my sewing machine, the fact is because I didn't have a systematic way of evaluating my machine needs against the availability of sewing machines, I paid approximately $200 more than I needed to pay. Lesson learned. The top bobbin drop-in feature is very popular because it allows you to monitor the amount of thread left on your bobbin while sewing. The automatic bobbin winder is a feature of sewing machines which allows for the threading of bobbins on top of the sewing machine. After the bobbin is pushed to the right, the foot pedal is engaged to begin the process of wrapping the thread around the bobbin. Next will be demonstrated the use of the automatic threader, which is used to help overcome a lot of the difficulty people have with getting the thread through the eye of the sewing needle. The first step is to get the needle to its highest height by using the sewing wheel on the sewing machine. The next step is to remove the presser foot and then pull down on the automatic threader attachment. And looking at the instructions for how you're going to place the thread on this particular device. The thread will go underneath that plastic piece, wrap around, and then there's another section behind the needle where you're going to put that piece of thread. Make sure you're holding the thread in your right hand very loosely while you pull up on the automatic threader, and there you will see that a loop has been formed and your needle will have been threaded. The purpose of this short video is to illustrate the use of the one-step automatic buttonhole maker. And what you see in front of you right now is a buttonhole presser foot, which will replace this general purpose presser foot. First step, though, requires that you put the button into the automatic buttonhole device, because this will regulate the size and control the size of the buttonhole that is being made. Make sure that when you are placing the buttonhole maker on the sewing machine that it snaps back in place in the same location where the general purpose presser foot was located. While you're doing this, also keep in mind that it's probably helpful to move whatever threads that might be in the way, to move them out of the way so that they don't get caught up in the stitching of the buttonhole. Once this is handled, the next step involved is that of placing the fabric underneath the buttonhole presser foot. When that is done, the next step involved is to pull down the lever for the buttonhole maker, because that actually helps to regulate the size of the buttonhole. Once this is done, the sewing machine is ready to start sewing the buttonhole. You can either use the foot pedal or the start-stop button on the sewing machine. During this process, when the buttonhole is finished, it will automatically stop. So you don't really have to regulate anything. The sewing machine actually just stops because it has gone through the whole process of completing the buttonhole, and it is automatic. So you don't have to get involved in any type of manual manipulation of how the buttonhole is being made. And that's it. The buttonhole can be opened by using a pair of sharp snippet scissors. A sample of sewing machine manufacturers include Singer, Brother, Janome, Juki, Babylock, Bernina, and Pfaff. When selecting the best sewing machines for beginners, there should be a consideration of independent reviews that are conducted, which focus on sewing machine features and cost, as well as customer reviews, which focus on the customer experience. Amazon probably has the most comprehensive listing of customer reviews that are available for you to be able to evaluate. This sewing machine selection template can be used in comparing your desired features with those of the sewing machines that you are evaluating. Included in this slide is a summary of where and how you can purchase sewing machines. My recommendations for best mechanical sewing machines for beginners was based on the selection criteria that was applied in this slide. Recommendations for the best mechanical sewing machines for beginners include the Brother GX37, the Brother XM2701, the Singer MX231, and the Singer 3232. Recommendations for the best computerized sewing machines for beginners is based on the criteria applied in this slide. My recommendations for the best computerized sewing machines for beginners include the Brother CS6000i and the Brother CS5055. Finally, a few additional tips and strategies are: remember your vision, stay within your budget, consider the extras, test drive the sewing machine, and inquire about machine warranty and local sewing machine servicing. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Sewing with Desi, and thank you for watching this video.